Well, did you just hear that? That little pop actually tells you three things at once. First, the jar was sealed properly during manufacturing. Second, nobody opened it before you, so the food has not been tampered with. And the third indicator is that the food is not spoiled and can be assumed to be safe to eat. Now, that tiny sound basically is a full microbiology report, but let's explore this a little bit in greater depth here. So what actually creates that vacuum seal? When the food is put into the jar during manufacturing, it is usually very hot, and the hot food produces steam. And steam is, of course, just water vapor, and it behaves differently than the air, because as it rises, it pushes the air out of the jar. So when the lid goes on, and the jar is really filled already here with water vapor, and then when it cools down, then it starts to recondense again, and it creates a partial vacuum. And the air pressure outside of the jar is now higher than inside, and that pressure pushes the lid down and locks it in place. Now, what happens now when you open the jar? Well, of course, the pop is simply the air rushing back into the empty space of the jar, and the lid starts to pop up. So you actually hear both a fizzing sound of the air rushing in, and then also of the pop of the lid popping outwards again. And that air that rushes in also carries along with it, of course, dust, the microorganisms, probably also spores, and everything basically floating around in the room. And that's the reason why after the jar has been opened, you don't leave it sitting around forever. You put it into the refrigerator, of course, because the seal has been broken. Now, some lids do not have a pop-up button, but they can still be vacuum sealed, and in that case you can tell because the lid is very difficult to remove, because of course the air pressure from the outside pushes it down on the jar. A little tip, if you have a problem removing the lid, then maybe you want to take a small spoon and carefully lift the edge of the lid, and this also allows air to move in. Now, there's also another reason why the vacuum matters. Removing the oxygen is also not accidental. It's part of the preservation strategy. Many organisms that spoil the food need oxygen to grow. Molds, fungi, a classic example. And also many bacteria require oxygen. And if you take away the oxygen, and suddenly most of the microorganisms are not able to grow anymore, and they're not able to spoil the food. However, there's a big however here, because there is an important exception why the lack of oxygen alone is not enough. There's one bacterium that prefers oxygen-free environment. It's called Clostridium botulinum. It grows where oxygen is absent. It is able to cause very severe food poisoning. And this means vacuum alone is not enough, right, to guarantee safety. And that's why food preservation always uses several protective mechanisms at the same time. Well, however, it is also possible that the lid starts to pop up even though it has never been opened before, and that's also a warning sign, because this means that something has survived inside the jar here. And when microorganisms start to grow, some of them are able to produce gases, for fermentation gases like carbon dioxide, for example. And this gas starts to build up, and then the pressure inside the jar rises, and this also pushes the lid outwards. And if this happens, well, then definitely you don't want to consume it. And sometimes with pressing down, if the pressure is very high, you can actually feel it's kind of difficult to push downwards. And this is an indication that the pressure inside the jar is higher than on the outside, and this indicates there are fermentation gases in here, and you want to throw it away. Now, this shows that even simple inventions can have a big benefit for humanity. Unfortunately, I was not able to find the name of the person who invented this pop-up button. But it's actually an idea that has been around already for a very long time. Even going back to the 19th century, people already realized that microbes can produce gases, and it's important to heat the jar and the cans at that time to preserve the food. So I think it's a very simple yet very effective way to indicate to consumers that the food that they're buying is still safe. That's all I wanted to share with you today. I hope you found the video interesting. I would like to invite you to leave some comments in the comment section below. I'm Oliver, happy microbe hunting as always, and hope to see you in the next video. Bye bye.